Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Rookies podcast. My name is Olivia Sala. Joining me is, of course, my co-host Alize Temel. And on today's episode, we have three very special guests with us, starting with the Vice President of Ticketing and Hospitality for York United FC, Brittany Arner, the Manager of Ticket Sales and Service for Cosmos Sports and Entertainment, Jonathan Stiles, and Account Executive for Cosmos Sports Internship Program, Ryan Lewis, to discuss the impacts of COVID-19 on the soccer landscape in Canada and what it's been like for them having to run a team during a pandemic. So welcome everyone to the podcast. Thank you so much for being here. We're excited to get into today's topic to hopefully gain some insight into the relationship between Cosmos and York United. But before we get into the questions here, I wanted to ask each of you if you could maybe give a 60-second introduction into who you are and what your role with Cosmos and York United entails. Maybe Brittany, we'll start with you.
Sure. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. So yeah, my name is Brittany, Vice President of Ticketing and Hospitality at York United. I've been with the league, this Canadian Premier League, for almost 3 years now, since its inception, working for a couple of different teams across the league, including Winnipeg and Pacific. But I got here in September, and it's been a wild ride the last 12 months. And soccer, this Canadian sports industry in general, has been flipped upside down, and we have had so many different experiences over the last 12 months that there's way too much to talk about in 30 minutes, that's for sure.
Awesome. Maybe John, we'll go to you next.
Sure. I don't know if I'm going to reach the 60-second threshold, but my name is John. I'm the Manager of Ticket Sales and Service over at Cosmos. Mainly involved with the ticket sales accounts that Cosmos has, whether it's, starting my career with the K-Days accounts and, just to the orchestras, the, Brampton Beast, and finally York United. As well, where I'm, just working hard to give the sales team as much support as they possibly can to reach our goals here.
Fantastic. And Ryan, you're last up there.
Yep. So my name is Ryan Lewis. I'm an intern at Cosmos, currently as an account executive position. And yeah, I've this past 2 months, I've been working sort of in the York United role and helping out with the York United team, as well as helping with my supervisors, John and Evan, working sort of with them regarding B2B researching, outreach, as well as even single ticket and seasonal ticket calling. And I've been loving it. I've been getting a lot of experiences. I've also been part of the training sessions by Carrie, and I've just been loving it as an intern so far. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, like I said before, we're excited to have you all on here to talk about soccer. So what I want to do is kind of go back, though, to when the pandemic first hit. And what were your initial thoughts or reactions as professionals working in the sports industry, or for you, Ryan, someone who is just kind of trying to get their start in the industry? What were your thoughts and reactions to everything that kind of happened last March?
Well, I would say for me, being that it was sort of coming to the end of my third year at Brock University, I noticed it was a crazy sort of life shock and switch. Sort of being as a student, it's hard to get the full experience in especially in sport management when you're not in person and you're not with the people that you study and work with. So I definitely say it did sort of give me that culture shock. And in regards to soccer, being an avid soccer fan, both internationally and in Canada and North America, I thought it did affect it like crazy. I didn't necessarily know too much about the in-fan attendances and how it affected that too well, but just from seeing the way some of these leagues sort of treated it, it seemed like it made a big hit on the sport of soccer just in general. Yeah.
My first thought when it was like March 10th, I think we really entered the real serious part of the lockdown. Obviously we'd been hearing about the coronavirus since like I think this early December, overseas and in China and whatnot. But sitting there on March 10th, my expectation was it was going to be 2 weeks, and we were going to be back at it, delay the games that we needed to, push everything back 2 weeks, and then we'd be fine. That was my first thought. Obviously not the case.
And for us, I mean, at the time I was working in Winnipeg, working for Valor FC and the Blue Bombers, which is the same entity. And kind of the same to John's point was that, it kind of really hit home when the NBA decided to shut down their games. And we were like, oh, this is legit. So, that was when we weren't in season at the time for either soccer or football. So it was just kind of like, we'll take it a day at a time. We had to cancel some events. We had to, postpone a few things, but it really didn't hit us until this time last year, like almost exactly to the day where we shut down the office. Everything just kind of, went crazy a little bit. And our biggest focus at that time was to maintain our communications with our fans because we didn't know what was going on. But neither did our fans, and we had to have that illusion of confidence that we were going to move forward with our seasons no matter what happened. And unfortunately for neither the CFL nor the CPL, a normal season did not happen for either of them. But we were just kind of rolling with the punches. And the best thing about it was that our fans were super okay with it. They were just understanding, and they were like, thanks for checking in. And we just really appreciate the fact that you were just calling us to say hello and to say that we're still thinking about you and that you're our number one priority. So that was really comforting to see in the chaos that was not knowing what was going to happen.
So, Brittany, as you said, the pandemic, it was just very unexpected, and it turned your whole operations upside down, as you said, the whole industry. So I want to talk about more of like how did it affect specifically your operations? How did the pandemic affect it, and what did it change?
From a club perspective, obviously everything changed. We were all supposed to be in the office at the stadium, getting ready for the season. From a sales perspective, we were all like, we were just getting into, the peak kind of off-season seat sales and moving into flex packs and group sales. We kind of just shut that down. And then we physically left the building, and I didn't see another human being for months, it seemed. But I had a team of 7 reps plus 3 managers, and it was just that realizing that you needed to change your communications, and it wasn't about the powwows at 8:30 every morning. It was now about daily emails and Zooms every couple of days to make sure that everybody's on topic, and then being super structured about what our daily tasks were going to be, and then what we were going to do moving forward. We didn't know what the long game was going to be, but we could at the very least be very conscious about what we were going to do on a daily basis to keep us from falling behind when things were going to get back together.
It's really hard to, not knowing when things will get better, and not knowing what to do at the time. What about the the safety measurements you took to keep your staff safe at the time and your athletes safe?
So yeah, first things first was that we just shut down the offices completely and the stadium. Like literally nobody was allowed in, and thankfully off season. So spring training wasn't supposed to start until the beginning of March anyways. So I think they were on day 2 or something when we shut down. So it wasn't too bad. So from an operations standpoint, the coaching and training staff had to come up with one-on-one and like at home training that was very similar to their on-field training, their team training, so that they could stay fit at home and doing what they could. And then from a staff perspective, we did want to eventually get back in to the office a little bit. And Manitoba was a little bit different than Ontario at the time. We didn't get hit until September. We had very few cases right up until that point. But we made every attempt to keep things shut down. And our retail store was open at the time, though, almost throughout the entire thing. So we made all the safety precautions with the plexiglass when we could order it in, and all the hand sanitizers, and having our merchandise put in a quarantine box for a while. And we actually really tried to move towards more technology in our communications with our fans. So instead of them coming to the store, coming to the office, if they had some requests, we would make every attempt to keep that hands off. We ended up sending out our new jerseys to our fans. We hand delivered them instead of them coming to the office. And it was just that extra gesture, that extra customer service step that made our fans feel even more appreciated and safe. So we thought we did some pretty good things there.
Sure. And so I know that the CPL, the league, kind of did a shortened season in the fall, in the September to kind of October months there. And I know, John, you were actually a part of that opening game that York 9, which was what you guys were called at the time, ended up starting out and playing. So can you maybe talk about what that experience was like for you, and just kind of coming back to sports for like the first time really since this whole thing started?
Yeah, first of all, I think it was early fall we started selling the collective program that it was dubbed. First of all, I was very thankful to be able to sell something to get fans watching our games. And I think on the flip side of that, fans were really thankful that we're going to have some sort of season. The way it worked out is similar to a lot of leagues. It got later in the year. We wanted a season, and the league wanted a season, and they ended up doing a 2-week shortened stint in PEI, which worked out great. There's no cases, thank goodness, and it worked out awesome. Where we're able to sell a streaming membership, as well as a little bit of merch. A jersey came along with the collective, and I think it was a good hit. People enjoyed it. We got coverage on CBC. It was very, very nice to have soccer in some sort of semblance that year.
Awesome. And so for people like Ryan, for example, from your perspective as someone who is just starting out in the industry and in an internship role, what were some of the challenges that you have been facing in your role currently with the team, and kind of speaking with B2B and reaching out to fans, that sort of thing?
Well, one really interesting thing that I'm sort of learning as I'm going with York United is that with my B2B research and my outreach, a lot of the times I am scheduling meetings now on virtual settings and virtual meetings. So whether that be through Zoom or through Google Meet, I'm setting up these face-to-face, although digitally, meetings where I actually get to see their expression and see what their thoughts are on certain things that we mentioned, Jason, John, and I on these calls. And it's really interesting to see it, because you'd expect, especially in a setting like the sport industry, to meet with people, when you're dealing with businesses, to go to their storefront or go to their clinic or go to their business and to just say hi to them, get a bit to know about your business as well as theirs, and sort of get that face-to-face value. But with these new technologies, like Brittany even said, it's actually helped us sort of flow from the downfalls or the things that have stunted our progression caused by the restrictions due to COVID-19. So I think it's a really good learning experience. Definitely made me more proficient with my my digital sort of like awareness and understanding regarding like virtual meetings and stuff like that. And I think it's just going to be a big player for the future of the industry. So yeah.
Awesome. And so while technology is kind of helping you to advance and adapt to these changes in the industry and our environment, I think a challenge, which it has been for most leagues and teams, is how do you generate revenue when you're not allowed to have fans in the stands, concessions, things like that. So, so how have you guys been able to kind of generate that revenue? What kind of tactics have you been focusing on when it comes to building that fan base and building those relationships with your fans?
So just in my sort of setting, I'll take it back to when I was working very heavily on the single ticket callers, on just sort of re-communicating with them. Although I am very new to that sort of setting and sort of building CRM with customers and that are associated with the team, I noticed that taking the call more person to person and just getting to know what they're feeling and how they're feeling, especially in times like this, where you might not know the setting or place that they're put into. In regards to revenue, I think that's also a really good player as well, because you want to make sure that they know that you care about what's happening with them, and that when things all turn over and we get back to playing soccer in a stadium or anywhere, they'll be there and we'll be there for them. We'll just ready to sort of get back to things how they were, as they once were.
Awesome. Maybe Brittany or John, you want to jump in as well? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, John's had a lot of experience with our new season membership product with the Business Alliance, and I'll let him talk about that in a sec. But we'll talk about our new branding, but that has been a good source of revenue for us since we rebranded in December. So new merch. So go online and check it out at yorkunitedfc.ca. But we really have to take the long-term approach. Yes, clubs are in financial struggles. Like, we can't deny that. Every team across this league, across the country, and across different sports is having significant revenue challenges. Again, the CFL and the CPL do not have the TV revenue that the larger players like the NHL has. And so we have to be a lot more creative with our resources and our revenue streams. So we are taking a slightly different approach and trying to combine little bits and pieces of non-ticket related products. And so, John, I think you've got a really good handle on our Business Alliance program that we've just put out in the last 2 weeks, actually.
Yeah, for sure, Brittany, you're exactly right. It's kind of tackling a season ticket problem that's been, in every sport and every organization has this issue. Is the value concept previously and traditionally has been, hey, buy season tickets, you'll get season tickets, right? That's kind of the extent of it. And then you run into an issue where it's a poor scan rate, less than 30%, like that kind of thing. The tickets aren't being used. So the Business Alliance concept that the team has come up with is, you get the tickets and you can use them in any way you like, whether you're using those for clients, your staff, donating them to a charity of your choice. A, the tickets get used, but B, there's almost like a small marketing / sponsorship component as well, including in the game program, an email blast to the fans, a networking group, stuff like that. Like the goal of the Business Alliance is to move business reciprocally among Business Alliance members, right? So it's not you're being a part of the club to just get tickets to the game. It's like you're being part of the club to grow your business, to gather new leads, and to really find a different community that I don't think many organizations offer. And that's something that came out of the pandemic, and I think it's gonna continue well after.
And between this package and really just the way we've termed our programs, is that we don't call them season ticket packages anymore. They are memberships. We have 12-month payment plans, and we really try to engage our fans on a very regular basis to make them feel part of the community. And the more often we do that, the more consistently we do that, the more they will be engaged with us on a regular basis as well. So while we might be facing a significant financial challenge right now, we still have to look long term. We have to make sure that we have a lifetime value of each and every one of these fans, it's not about what's going to happen this year. It's not about what's going to happen next year. It's about, are they going to still be our fans in 5, 10, 15 years? Is the next generation going to be our fans? And how do we keep them? So a short-term approach is not going to work unless you have the long-term plan ahead of you.
For sure. I think that's so right. And I think it's also the exclusivity too behind that, right? Like being a part of, as you were saying, like being a part of this community where you're just so invested into the team, and with like-minded people as well who really enjoy the sport and want to support the team. I think that's really important. We've experienced that with some of our other clients as well, like the Toronto Six. We do the same thing, season membership packages. We don't call them, the season tickets. It's a season membership. So you kind of touched on this, and it was the rebrand of York United. So this was quite recently, within the last couple of months here, that you guys did this. So what does this rebrand kind of mean for your organization and your fans, and why the switch from York 9 to York United?
Well, if there's one thing I can recommend, it's not really rebranding in the middle of a pandemic when we don't have some products to offer, but we did it anyways. And really the thoughts behind it were because we felt that it just wasn't representative of who we were or who we were trying to engage with. York 9, as great of a concept as it was, when you bind yourself geographically, you tend to limit yourself. And we wanted to make sure that we were able to represent a much larger community, expanding beyond New York region into the GTA and further. So obviously, we want to make sure that we stay grassroots and that we take care of our local fans. But a name should never restrict somebody from being a fan. And so we changed the naming to York United because we want to expand. We want to unite all of these geographic locations, all of these different demographics, all of the beauty of Toronto and Ontario in general is that there's so many different people. And we want to use that power of sport and the power of soccer to unify them and create a community surrounding that. And these are really our philosophical pillars. And the name change just reflects that. The changes in the organization that we wanted to make, the mission and the values that we want to embody, we just felt that naming change was along those same lines.
And how did you find the response from the fans? What were the reactions from the fans to the name change?
The vast majority has been quite positive. And along with the unifying and expanding concept was that some of the traditionalists that were really keen on the York 9 and the 9 stripes and things like that, it wasn't that we were killing off the York 9 brand. Having 2 years under our belt under that name just meant you were an OG, right? You're one of the original fans that supported us right from the very beginning. And if I see York 9 in the stands when we get back in there, I'll be just as happy as if they were on York United, because it means that they've been supporting us through hopefully the worst part that we'll ever have to go through. And we're appreciative of all of our fans, no matter what their thoughts were on the rebrand. And at the end of the day, a name is a name. But if you believe in us and who we are and what we stand for, then wear your jersey, wear an Arsenal jersey for all I care. I don't care. Just come on out and enjoy yourself.
Awesome. And how about for you, John? Because I know this was kind of your first time going through something like that, where it's a rebranding of a team or a client of ours. And so what was it kind of like for you going through that or being a part of it?
It was a little bit like a movie. The rollout and the YouTube premiere that the club did was excellent. Just the production value was absolutely off the charts. I really enjoyed it, and it's not often that as a team we get to put out something and have a live chat scrolling right right beside it. So it was like real time. You're getting, not all positive, but real time you're getting feedback, which is really really cool to see. And I think they just absolutely hit the brand on the head. The logo, everyone's saying, oh, this looks like traditional football now, which is just absolutely incredible. And it's really cool to be a part of something like that.
Awesome. And so I kind of want to shift gears a little bit here and talk about Cosmo's role with York United and what that relationship has kind of been between York United the last year or so, I would say. So maybe Ryan, John, if you want to step in here, can you tell us about Cosmo's role and kind of the services that we're helping to provide York United?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, first and foremost, very simply, the simplest way to put it is we're trying to get more butts in seats, a little bit, a little bit more in depth. We're there to provide sales support for the sales team and for anybody really working at York United, whether that's supporting Jason and Cody in their day to day, offering advice, training with Carrie, and then that's also volume support with myself, with Evan O'Connor, with Jordan Fung, with Ryan Lewis and Ryan Bird. It just, and in a regular season too, we'd be helping out executing on game days, and servicing the clients that we sell and everything like that. So essentially we're here to make the ticketing process go as smoothly as possible, make sure everybody has a great time at the games, and keep the tickets moving, honestly.
Awesome. So as we know, soccer is getting more and more popular every day in Canada. It's the fastest growing sport. So does anyone want to chime in on this? What role does York United play in the development of the sport in Canada? I don't know, Brittany, John?
Well, the CPL was actually built. It was created specifically because we were the only industrialized country that participated in FIFA that did not have their own national development league. So, aside from that really obvious flaw in the system, when we got the bid for the 2026 World Cup games, obviously we needed to have a totally stacked roster for 2026. So what better way to do that than to build our own league, to create that homegrown talent? So with our incredibly large plans to expand to 16 teams by the year 2026 from our current 8 and the original 7. And then, with the acquisition of League One Ontario as a development league, and the possibilities for like League One BC, and these other, and then our youth sports partnership. So we do a youth sports draft for the graduating students in soccer, in the soccer programs. Sorry, maybe not graduating students, but anyways, they're in university. So we do have a professional contract with them, so that we can really take charge of the Canadian talent. We don't want them to go to the MLS or the USL. We don't want them to go to the USL at all. We want them to stay here in Canada and see how amazing of a country we are, and the talent that we have. We were built so that we could showcase that talent to the rest of the world, and then to promote the sport not just at a recreational level. And the reason why we're here is so that we can get these kids into the stadium and watch our players and dream about being able to play here and not just abroad. And it's going to be a long time coming, but that is our end game, right?
That's awesome. All right, so moving on to my next question. The average age of your players, York United, it's very young. So what are some of the challenges and opportunities of having a young team in the league?
It is a challenge. I mean, from a sales and service perspective, it's a little less. I mean, for those of us who have been in the ticketing world for a long time, the roster and the product doesn't necessarily hurt us. I've been in teams where we've posted losing records for years, but, year over year growth in stadium attendance was exponential. And it wasn't because of the product on the field, it was because of the experience that our fans had. But going back to your question, the youth of our team, with the average age being so young, we're using that to our advantage because we are going to be able to grow the team as fully as possible over the next few years. And the longer a team stays together as its core group, the more cohesive they become, and the stronger of a team they're going to get. So we might not be top of the table this season, which of course I hope we are. But if we're not, we're looking beyond year one, and just really focusing on developing those young players. And we've got a great group of coaching staff, with Jimmy Brennan being in the MLS and beyond for what. So he can really bring that level of professionalism and teaching these boys to be professionals. And I really look forward to watching these young athletes develop as humans as well as athletes.
Sounds great. So this question for all of us, I guess, Brittany, John, Ryan, if you guys want to answer. How do you think that the pandemic affect the soccer industry, both in Canada and both globally?
Well, I get a little bit, I get a little bit of anxiety when I see a lot of people in stands right now still, actually. I get super excited when I see that the EPL is slowly letting fans in. Then you also look to other sports, right? And the Super Bowl, and that was a little terrifying from a health and safety perspective, but we are a lot more conservative in that sense. But all of the challenges that we have faced in the last 12 months has allowed us to prepare to be better, right? We're going to provide a lot more safety to our fans and a lot more confidence. We've just sent out a survey to both our season seat members and the general database that we have, just on their overall sentiments about their willingness to come back into the stadium. And right now, everything is hypothetical. I mean, we're still planning on coming back with fans, but I have 7 different scenarios of return to play that some of them have 0 fans and some of them have all the fans. So, we need to plan for that. We need to have every option on the table and be able to, right at this the turn, like as soon as they say go, the provincial governments and the league say go, then we are able to execute on those plans. But we can't do that without the specific feedback from our local fans and how willing they are to come back. And then they would need the confidence in us to take that feedback, have a proper plan, and execute the things that they are most worried about. Hand sanitizer stations, social distancing protocols, in-seat food and beverage service, single-use washrooms, ensuring that there's quality control is all there so that we can take the fear out and put the confidence back in. And we're dealing with this on a relatively local basis, but we can learn from what other countries are doing right now. Italy, New Zealand, the UK, like they're all doing this first so that we can learn from what they're doing, and we can hopefully avoid some massive mistakes or having to do things over again.
Absolutely. And then one thing I'll add too is I think we've seen it a little bit with the sports returning to play, but I think on the other side of this pandemic, it's going to change fans' perspective a little bit. I think there's going to be a lot more hunger to actually see live events, whether it's York United or if it's any local event really. Whereas maybe in 2019 a fan might have been okay just following the game on Twitter, but maybe in 2021 2022 it's going to be, hey, let's get out to a game. We need to do this. We need to support the club. We need to have a good time, right? Because it's been so long. It's been March 10th, I guess, was the last time I saw a live event. which is tough because there's concerts in the summer we're missing, and it's not going to just be soccer that changes. I think people are just going to have a hunger in general to get out to the bars, to the concerts, the clubs, whatever. I think people are going to make more of an effort on the other side of this.
Yeah, no. Just to John's point, the game is not the important part, right? I've been in the ticketing industry for almost 10 years, and like I said before, the product on the field is not what the majority of people come to the stadium to experience. It's about the memories that they're creating with their friends, with their families. We always remember our first pro sports game, right? Whether we were 4 or 5 years old, or in my case, I didn't see a Major League Baseball game until I was 19, but I still remember it. And I don't remember who they played, but I remember going there with my dad and my sister. And I remember, the bus trip over across the border. It was to a Detroit game. It wasn't to a Blue Jays game. But, I remember those things. And that's why we do this. We can broadcast whatever we want online. We can live stream it. We can do whatever we want to promote the product, to promote the game. But the experiences you can't replicate at home. And that is exactly why the minute we are allowed to sell tickets, people are going to be jumping through hoops to get them, hopefully.
For sure. And so Ryan, maybe you any final thoughts to end us off here?
Yeah, so just to what Brittany and John had already stated, I think at the end of the day, like they said, the biggest thing is the fan experience. And putting myself in the fan shoes, I can't wait. I'm just aching at the fact that I get to one day go back to a game, a live sports event, and see, especially like even with York United, with the plans of the upcoming season, I'm in so much interest just to like go to one of those games and get to be with all the other fans and see the games live. So I just think, yeah, that's a huge thing for all the fans everywhere, no matter what sport. COVID's really made us realize how important that live interaction and experience is. And I think that's going to be a huge, huge player for the future of sport post sort of COVID and after everything sort of is alleviated. So.
Awesome. All right. Well, that brings us to the end of our episode here. Thank you to Brittany, John, and Ryan for joining us on today's episode. Once again, to talk about York United, soccer, COVID, the future, which, with how you guys have been speaking, looks very bright for York United, and excited for that day that we can finally see each other in person and be back in stadium and see all those fans and cheer alongside everyone for this team. It's gonna be great when we can get to that. I'm just gonna kind of conclude here. For anyone who is looking to do an internship with Cosmos, because the Rookies podcast is really something that we do for our interns here to engage with the different clients, learn about the business and the industry in which we work in. We are currently hiring for our summer semester. So if you would like to apply for a position here with Cosmos, you can email me at osala@cosmosports.com or Michael Hunter at mbhunter@cosmosports.com. You can also go to the Cosmos Sports website at www.cosmosports.com and visit our internship page where you can apply and find some more information through there. I will turn it over to Brittany though. Where can people follow and reach York 9 or York United? I'm sorry.
Yes, York United is available on most of your social channels. We do not have a TikTok yet. We're working on it, but we are very active on Instagram, especially at York UTDFC. And all of the information that we have is available on our website at yorkunitedfc.ca. And we encourage people to subscribe to our newsletters because that is the best way to get the information, whether it's player content, or upcoming promotions, like we have our $1 ticket campaign right now going on. And then the schedule, right? haven't gotten a schedule yet. So all of that information does come through our emails before anything else. So we encourage that. And you can sign up to that on our website.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you once again to the three of you for being here. I hope you enjoyed it. We enjoyed having you, and enjoy the rest of your day. Take care, guys.
Thanks so much, guys.